Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see all of you back in here this morning. Oh, excuse me. Actually, before we get started, I'm gonna get me a coffee. Alrighty, back on here. Back on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, exciting days here. Bitcoin is down a little bit. Well, actually not really. It's actually up, but price action's kind of been moving down. Um, you know, CPI, all that good jam came out today, and really nothing serious. Just the same old, just, inflating away at 3% instead of 2%. So pretty much we're 1% worse off than we've been since, well, yeah, we're 1% worse off than that of what we want to be, or which we want to be. Our goal is a 2% inflation mark. We basically been staying at 3%. So we've been accelerating our inflation benchmark for the past, well, our inflation benchmark's been inflated, if you will. So yeah, just the typical, just inflate. So no surprise there, just the basics. Market's obviously going down. Um, are we surprised? Not really. Kind of makes sense. We talked about this yesterday that institutions were hedging, or smarter money was probably hedging based off the way that the VVIX was moving. So, yeah, and this morning we have the VIX up to $18.19. Now, yesterday I mentioned to you if CPI came out bad and whacked the market, you would see the volatility index up near 19. At the time, $19 was the price of the 50 SMA on the 30 minute for the VIX. Actually, I'll bring that down. But now the 50 SMA is priced at 18.45. So instead of 19 being the target, we're now targeting about $18.45 as it relates to that 30 minute level. So if we bring this down real quick, this here, right? So yesterday when we were talking about if CPI comes out, blah blah blah, and gets whacked, then we'll see the VIX up to about 19. That's because at the time the SMA was priced at 19. Then throughout the remainder of the session, it lowered all the way to $18.44. So therefore, 18.44 is now becoming our long target for the volatility index this morning, etc., as the market slides down. You go into here, you will see in the pre-market, what does it look like? This is the 1840 target that we're looking for on the VIX. This right here is the 15-minute breakout. So this would be the 15-minute SMA breaking out. There's the pullback to hold the higher low on the 15-minute, now working its way up to 30-minute. Obviously, that's all going to happen as long as the market basically stays down, most likely, etc. So just want to emphasize it's not 19 we're looking for anymore, it's 1845. But obviously that was mentioned, some hours ago. But anyways, so as long as the market keeps moving down, we're going to be looking for VIX to go up, obviously, and we're going to be looking for about 1850. Oh, yeah, or whatever I said, 1845. Yeah, and then from there, if the VIX breaks out more, we'll keep looking down. If the VIX ends up getting resistance, we're going to look for a bounce and so on and so forth. So as the VIX gets into $18.45 this morning, pretty much one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to go through 1845 or it's going to get stopped around 1845. If it gets stopped, then we look for a little bit of a counter bounce in the market. If it breaks out, keeps going, then that means volatility is breaking out the 30 minute. That's going to make the market a little bit more fearful, and then we're going to look for the market to go down more. All right. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna probably stay on the downside for now, wait for the market to take the VIX all the way to 1845, then see if we break the VIX out at 1845. If so, we're going to express more fear into the market, and there's a better chance you see a harsher pullback today. All right. So it's really just dependent on how we move the volatility index this morning. It's not that I'm not focused on the market. I'm just with where the VIX is at, it's a little more important to be watching. It's not that it's more important, it's just that's where the signaling is going to come from today, arguably. So we're going to stay short-term bearish on the market with the way that the VIX is moving, essentially try to take it up close to 1845, and then we have to reevaluate, which is, are we going to break out the VIX? And if we do, then we should see fear expressed a little bit more into the market, and that could start taking things down a little bit more. But that's pretty much it. That's all we can really look for right now, in my opinion. I don't see the market any differently for right now. Like we said yesterday, we saw the VVIX increasing, so volatility of volatility. Usually that's a hedging sort of indicator, if you will, or a a tailwind risk to the market indicator, if you will. So with that rising yesterday, we just assumed that, the smarter people that trade and look at markets were, excuse me, starting to hedge some bets for today, right? Just uncertain of how CPI might come out, whatever, right? So pretty much we saw the market go down for 2 days, relax, as we kind of get through this CPI day, if you will. So we're not full-blown bearish. Remember, the only time we really shift full-blown bearish is if the volatility index breaks out the 30-minute or the stock market goes into a sell signal. Neither of those have happened. So we're just pulling the market back. We're not doing some sort of corrective pullback right now, right? This is just pulling the market back, not corrective. If it was a corrective move, we would most likely be seeing the 30-minute volatility market break out, and it has not done that yet. If the VIX were to come up to here and then break out 1845, then yeah, we might be seeing a harsher pulling back corrective selling day, but none of that has happened. Oh no, this could be a pain. Oh, there it goes. Come on. Come on. No, don't be like that. Oh no, that's not good. I was gonna say I can't move like, oh wait, is it that? Oh, there we go. Never mind. So yeah, that's pretty much that, guys. And even right now, we can already see the VIX is not quite making it to not quite making it to 1845 for the time being, which tells me that the market found some sort of support prior to the VIX finding a little bit of resistance there, which is fine. I mean, we got up to about 1826 there. Either way, it's still an area of focus as we go into today, that 1845 mark, because that's pretty much it, right? The way the market's positioned on the VIX, it can only really do two things. It's always going to go up, going to go down. Two prices it can go to right now, we watch is about 1845 and or 1760s, which is the 15-minute. But anyways, you guys will all see this work as we get into the open. So enough's been said there. So yeah, we're kind of probably be watching things down for the time being. What happened to that's funny. Man, just cannot clear my throat this morning. See, simple. Mm, If we do, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Again, just know that if we break out the 50 SMA on the VIX today and it really goes through a like a legitimate breakout, then we might also be looking down to 6 7 or 677.65. I usually only go for the SMA. I usually only try to sell the market or bring the market down to the 50 SMA as I'm showing you here with this yellow line. We usually only try to take it down to about there when we see volatility breaking out, right? So we usually don't jump the gun and suggest that we're going to take the markets down to where I'm moving this line. We never really talk about taking the market down that far unless we're kind of confident that the VIX broke out because we normally don't see it otherwise. Just that's all I'm saying is like in this instance with the way the market's set up, the only way we take the S&P 500 down to the 50 SMA is if the volatility market breaks out. So, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that does not typically happen without seeing X, X being VIX breakout, right? So that's where I'm at right now is again, this is we're pulling the market back. It's not we haven't expressed enough fear to create a corrective pullback that then really sinks us here. None of those things have happened quite yet, but it's still on the table for today. Busy, super busy chat here on the live stream this morning. Super busy. There's so many questions. I just can't, can't answer them all. You know what I mean? What time is it? 9:16. All right, let's pop on over to our best friend, our new favorite shiny coin called shitcoin. No, stop it. All right, oh, excuse me, I'm gonna increase this a little bit. So, Bitcoin is exactly doing everything we kind of thought it would do, which is pretty much go down, right, in October. So, well, actually, we're November now, but you know. So, yeah, we're just gonna keep rolling Bitcoin down, most likely. Not a ton to say here. We're just doing a little bit of a bounce off some volume weighted average price stuff. That's kind of way I see it. If we take some VWAPs on this low, you'll pretty much see what we're doing. We're just kind of holding some current low support stuff like right here. That's it. So, if you just take absolute low, run some VWAP, you can kind of see why we're holding right about there. And so we already know that once that gives up, then that could be our kind of next dropout. And then obviously if you anchor to the high of this move, which you should already be doing, then we already know this is going to be our next lower high location in the future at some point. So it's kind of a little soon, if you will, but essentially this box on the upside is going to be our next counter trend target. We just basically need more time, if you will. So it's either, Bitcoin takes out this low, keeps going, and then these develop later and there'll be a bounce move. And, the best way I can explain it is just like we had just seen, right? If you take a view up here, even on like this high, um, previous there, etc. And that's how you get a lot of times your lower highs. So you can see down, bounce to, view app down. So it's same thing. So market's just going down on Bitcoin for the moment. You know, that's about it. So we'll just keep updating you guys there. Again, we have targets all the way down as low as like 50K and some change and stuff. Okay. As far as penny stocks today, I didn't really see anything great. I mean, there's a couple little things. Maybe something changed. I don't know. But let me just flip through them real quick. And again, it's not that something won't turn out to be good. I'm just saying, like, if, there's only usually so much opportunity when you're actually looking at things. I don't know. The stock FLY, Fly, keeps piquing my interest. It's an earnings play that's above support right now, and it's not too far from support. It's just kind of one that I'm like thinking maybe it has a good earnings move. I don't know. That was the one I was kind of looking at, and I just haven't been able to pull the trigger on it, which I guess I could always buy like a minimal amount, and if it does okay, it's fine. But that was one I was like kind of looking at. IDN, I mean, there's does none of them really have that momentumous volume and look right now. Doesn't mean they won't perform good, but there's nothing that just goes, oh yeah, buy me, you know? They're all kind of, well, maybe, meh, kinda. Um, just haven't really found the one. Like there's this MGRX, that popped up this morning, didn't really do that great. It had a little move and it's still above support. That's around $2. So it's like you do have a stock trading at $2.08. You got support around $1.98. So it's low risk in that sense, but it still needs to perform or else you're just buying a stock that's not going to do good. You know, I just really haven't found something that's really stood out to me too much this morning. This ONDS, actually, that could be something. That's probably something I'll watch. ONDS. I don't know if that popped up earlier and I just didn't really look too hard or what, but that's an earnings play. It hasn't quite back tested support, so maybe we have the opportunity for a first back test of support long trade. I guess we'll just see if the market gives it to us, so I will keep that one on watch. And then OTLK, this is something that I did trade today. Actually, I guess I still have some shares on it. I thought I closed out, but I didn't. So, all right, well, guess we'll just roll with that, even though they're still, yeah, whatever. That's fine. So, yeah, OTLK was another one that I traded today. I actually took a loss on that one and then took a win and washed my loss. Somewhat luckishly, but guess it's nice to be lucky sometimes. So that's another one that I'm gonna keep tabs on is OTLK, just because it had to me what looked like some of the most kind of momentumous volume of these random ones they were seeing today. So just gonna keep tabs on it for that reason only. It's got a decent amount of volume being traded on it this morning, and I don't know, it was the only one that had that kind of momentumous, feeling to it that I've seen thus far. I'm not looking at super cheap penny stocks right now. I could, but I haven't. I mean, even there's even like PLBY, but that one's a little extended. I don't know. What about SGBX? Oh yeah, there was this one too. SGBX is another one that actually I looked at earlier, never really decided on it, but that one might do something cool. We'll see. So probably going to be focused around SGBX this morning, OTLK, ONDS, and maybe what was I looking at? FLY possibly. So that's probably where my brain's going to be at is ONDS, OTLK, and SGBX for right now. Dang. Hmm. Sorry, I am all I'm doing. Kind of brain fart in there for a second. Hmm. Hmm. SGBX. I've not, yeah, I'm just kind of saying randomness on it. Yeah. Well, anyways, let's see. Yeah, I think that's that about covers it. I don't really got too much more. Well, once again, good morning to everybody. Hopefully you have a great day. You know, that's good. Me too. I would say I'm having a pretty. Actually, you know what? I kind of woke up this morning feeling a little slow, to be honest. But then again, I've been definitely working pretty hard these past month, past couple weeks. So you're bound to feel burnt out one of these mornings at some point. So I kind of felt that way this morning waking up. But now, a couple cups of coffee, and we're doing just fine. Just fine. Now the only thing we need is SGBX to pump, one of these other stocks to pump, and the market to, just do something fun today. Not be too lame. Actually, the past few days in the market have actually been pretty, yeah, I mean, overall pretty good days. I mean, you had good stretches up, good pullback down. I mean, really nothing too choppy, honestly. It's actually pretty good couple days. Yikes. Look at the mark. Well, no, I don't want to say yikes. That's really, I mean, the market is rolling down again, but nothing nothing too unexpected there, right? Because we already assumed that the market's kind of supposed to be rolling down for the time being. Not that it couldn't bounce, but, you know, we're below the pre-market 30 minute. We are above the VIX 15. It'll be interesting to see how VVIX opens this morning. I wonder if it's going to open flat or if it's going to open elevated, and it'll be interesting to see. To be honest, I don't even know. It's been so long since this was developed, I kind of forget, but it's basically has to do with X amount of volume, I think, on the day and something of that nature. Um, yeah, like relative volume based off of X amount of trading days or going back 5 days. I really don't remember, but I could figure out for you. Realistically, you can just use the biggest gainers list, too. That's, if I it literally does the same thing pretty well. Actually, biggest gainers list gives you even more. That one's just been using for so long. It's almost like habit. I mean, this is arguably maybe a market that might just slide out. That's kind of got that kind of just fall to the floor look for the moment. Um, we'll see. I don't want to just jump the gun and be like this thing's gonna fall to the floor, but so far it's got that kind of cascade drop look to it. We'll see. Like I said, it's very important on what the VIX does here. If the VIX can get up to 1845 and break out, the market's just going to dump out. But if the VIX cannot get above 1845, that's going to prevent the market from just falling out, right? So it's kind of like it just depends here. Still a couple things that have to progress, and for the market just kind of continue going down and have that kind of cascading falling drop. And if we get that, then again, maybe we'll look down to like 677 on the market, but just kind of depends here. All right, sorry about that. Was just I sent a text message there. All right, so like we said before, with the VIX not getting above 1845, it's going to make it hard to sell the markets more, right? That's again, we need volatility to kind of break out a little more. Right? So essentially, the market is hedged for a downside move. We just have not yet fully expressed that within the volatility index, right? So the market's kind of positioned in a way to sell this market off. We just haven't fully expressed the fear into the market. Once we do that, we can take it down. All right? So just be mindful. We're still not really looking long right now. There's still fear in there's yeah, we're hedged for downside, but fear has not crept into the market enough to trigger that dropout. Let's go, baby. Don't you try to finagle daddy, you know. Don't you try to give me the old finagle here. Do what you're supposed to do. Just go down, break out 1845, have fear expressed in the market, then have everyone go, "Oh my gosh, the market's down today. Why is it down?" And then we're just gonna giggle. Like it's gonna be great. Come on, baby. Give us a fun day. Drop us out to $677.72. Granted, if we're gonna do that, we need well, we don't really need anything. We just need the market to go down and well, we do kind of need the VIX to break out. So you can kind of see the VIX is now up to $18.33 a ruse. Sensor Magoos. So we're dropping. It's fun. It's all fun and dandy. All right, it's all fun and candy. But look at here, looky. Or just pay attention to your trade if you're in one, and don't looky. But you see how the VIX is moving up to that eight. Oh, look at the drop on the market. Yeah, baby. Let's go. Anyways, you see how well, actually, it's kind of funny. They're not moving the VIX yet, even with these, like, the candles moving. So that's funny. That's interesting. You'd already assumed the VIX would be moving with this last 1 minute candle dropping. It's very slow creep. But anyways, so you see how we said we're going to be looking for the VIX to go to 1845. We're almost at 1845, right? Now, we will then need the VIX to break this out. We need it breaking out 1846. So there we go. There is our first long target for the VIX completed, and that's why we stayed what? So we're bearish the market until what? Till the VIX hits 1845. So we use the long target on the VIX to remain bearish in a short here till we get to 1845, right? Now the market might do a little bit of a bounce if the VIX does not break out. So this is where the VIX needs to keep breaking out for the market to slide all the way to 677.72. If we do any sort of algorithmic hold here and get some sort of like, whatever resistance, then it might slow this short time, but I don't think that's really going to happen. I personally think we're going to break this out and the market's going to go down to $677.77. All right. So that's all that. But so what we're seeing is how you take a long target from the volatility index, use that to be bearish and remain short the stock market, etc. Right? So sometimes it's not necessarily about finding a target that it's not necessarily about looking at the SPY and going, oh, the SPY has this target down. Sometimes it's about looking at the VIX and saying the VIX has this target up, right? And that's why we're going to stay down in the market, etc. So that's something you got to think about, or don't think about it actually. Yeah, we're bearish. Mr. Wang Koi. Yeah, we are bearish, shorting, short term, bearish, down, market. Yes, to answer your question. Um, so basically, we're just looking for the stock market to go down to $677.72 for right now. That's as far as my game plan goes for the second. And that's obviously based on the fact that the VIX has to break out this 1845, which it's now broken out, but that's only like one candle or like a 1 minute candle. So it's like we need to get above, we need to hold. So, it sometimes the market plays easy, just breaks out and goes. Sometimes it kind of, plays little games. But again, like we said, the only way the market S&P goes to 67772 is if the VIX breaks 1845 and then starts to express confirmation of fear into the market, right? So that hasn't happened. All right, see how we're starting to wick it, starting to reject it. Now, what are you seeing? You're seeing a little bit of a bounce there on the SPY, etc. Now, when I say a little bit of a bounce, I mean it's literally just one candle, but you know. But be careful again. Literally as soon as the VIX breaks out, we're just going to sink right to 677.72. So again, just be mindful of that. LRHC just halted down. That was nasty. Sitting right above the 30-minute 50 SMA. Let me take a peek at that. Mhm. I mean, yeah, no, not even gonna say anything. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. LRHC. Oh yeah, that thing got absolutely clapped. I don't know what this is though. What is it? Oh yeah, I mean that thing was yeah, no, we ain't gonna mess with that. And again, with the market going down today, with us, moving volatility to more fearful, we typically don't see penny stocks or stocks trade that good on the day. So, with the markets and their aggressiveness down, as we assumed, we don't usually expect stocks to do as good, but that doesn't mean there won't be some good players. Let's see. How do the ones I haven't had the chance to look? See, like my ONDS did pretty good. I didn't buy it. I was too focused on shorting the market, but whatever. OTLK hasn't really done anything. So that one's pretty much meh. SGBX, that's doing okay. So SGBX I picked. That's doing all right. Um, ONDS did okay. That was another one of the picks. FLY was another one which started long. Now it's gotten pushed down. So doing okay on some of those picks. So what about MGRX? MGRX still holding. Oh, shit. Um, but yeah, so can we all just get a round of applause going? Because we're about to hit, we pretty much just hit down towards our long target, or wait, what? Long target, sell target. Let me just double check because sometimes things change a little bit. All right, so we've already hit the SPX 50 SMA. That's right, because now it's updated because it's a new day. So we might have already hit our target on the SPY here. Yeah, so you can see we pretty much hit our target there. So got to be a little careful here of small bounces just in general because you're coming into 50 SMA. But can we get a round of applause going, everyone? That was amazing. Job well done. Job well done, ladies and gentlemen. We just predicted the S&P 500 largest globally traded ETF in the entire world. And we predicted exactly where it would go before the stock market even opened, how and why it would happen, all the things that you would look for. And so, yeah, job well done, people. Get a round of applause going. That is not easy to do. That is one of the hardest things in the entire world to really do is to predict how the stock market's going to move before it moves and where to before it happens. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yay! I love sitting in front of a computer for 11 years of my life, every single day of my life. It's finally happening. Yay, it's working. Not to mention, what's even cooler is yesterday we said, the hedging is happening. It's happening, right? There is unforeseen tail risk coming into the market. This is where we see changes, right? And here we are today, market's down. So, what do we know? We know that the news is not probably not going to be too favorable today. We're not quite into a sell move, so it's a little early for me to say that because if this market doesn't turn into an actual sell signal, it could still bounce and it could still get bought up. So this is where anyone writing news articles about the bearish movement today has to be careful because we're not through the day yet. If for whatever reason algorithms and computers wanted to support the 50 SMA here, we could very well bottom the market, hold the market, right? And anyone that starts printing bearish news articles today could look like a fool by the end of the day because we could bounce the market by the end of the day. So it's kind of one of those times where if you actually write news articles, you probably should just not because you're still like, or you shouldn't write them bearish just yet because it's too soon to say that, right? We're doing a bearish pullback, but we haven't flipped into a sell signal. So, anyways, but we already know that like we don't even have to look at the news, right? We're going to see the news and gonna be like, oh, stocks are selling off, and maybe now it's going to be inflation, right? So like let's just look. I haven't looked at the news this morning. Again, this is something that I only do with you guys. I swear. Usually, I don't look at any news all day until I get on stream with you guys. And so we're going to just look at stock market news today. And, it might be a little soon for articles to be out and talking about the drop. They're probably going to be, I don't know. Let's see. Well, they're starting to. They're coming in. So here we go. You can already see how the news is shifting, right? Stocks fall, Dow pulls back. It's oh my gosh, who are not like who could have possibly known that stocks were going to pull back? No one. Like you had to go to Google, you had to read the CNBC article. There's just no other way, right? So stocks are pulling back off the record highs and futures something lower after the shutdown ends, right? Like even though when the market was up 3 days ago, they were saying that it was optimism of the shutdown being over that was going to drive the market higher. But now the shutdown's like ending and now we're going lower. So what is it? Again, they have no clue. Stocks fall as US reopens, but 3 days ago, the reopening of the government was going to be bullish, but now it's bearish. Like, who do I believe? Who, where do I put my trust? Where do I put my faith? Well, definitely not in people. That's for sure. Definitely not in Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, or Investors Business Daily. Clearly. So, that's just that. So, anyways, we're kind of running into that 50 SMA. Again, there's a little bit of an opportunity for some bouncing going on down here. So just be, just don't be slamming shorts at the lows because it can get bought up a little bit, especially if the algorithms that run the market really want to bounce it, then they can easily bounce the market here. So just be mindful of that. Obviously, they've already started bouncing the market down here a little bit, nothing crazy. So let's kind of zoom in on this because this is a good now this is where you can start to learn a little bit more strategy, right? So everything we did so far this morning was looking at volatility, looking at the markets, an SMA trend, and identifying the market should drop, right? And it should go here. Now that we're at this point, I don't actually know because now we're on the 50 SMA of the market. This can dictate a bounce, it can dictate the start of a breakdown, etc. So now I have to ask myself, well, what's it going to do? Is it going to bounce or is it going to break down, right? So now that's where my mind's at. Connor's going, well, are we going to break down? Or are we going to bounce? Are we going to break down? Are we going to bounce? Well, are we going to bounce maybe a little bit later? There's all these questions going on now, right? We've predicted where the market's gone because okay. But now what? Right? Now the what is it going to break down or is it going to bounce? Now this is what I'll start doing. I'll start looking at the SPY and I'll look at the SPX. So look at the SPX. You can see the SPX has already broken down, right? So the SPX is actually the main one that we watch, but we coincide that with the SPY. That's a lot to take in, whatever. So we know that the SPX actually broke down here. So we would take a 1 minute volume weighted average price and we're going to anchor the breakdown. So I'm kind of a little late to that, but ultimately, this tells us what? That 1 minute volume weighted average price is our counter trend long target for the SPX. And as long as the market stays below that, then the market's going to remain, essentially kind of in like a short-term bearish downtrend, if you will. So right now we're kind of looking up towards that SPX VWAP right now for a bounce. And then if we can keep it below that, we'll keep rolling the market. If not, then we're going to do a little bit more of a bounce, etc. Um, so yeah, so you see how we're bringing the market up towards that VWAP. And so it's funny because we're really just using the 30-minute. See this? We're using the 30-minute on the SPY 50 SMA to bounce the market right now. And so we're really just bouncing the market on the SPY back to the SPX 1-minute VWAP resistance trend, and then we're going to roll it down most likely. So this VWAP here on the SPY is, or the SPX is what we're going to use to work this market down for the time being. If we start to get above that, that's where we'll kind of look to further the pop. So we're kind of in this interesting spot where there's potential for continuation, also the potential to reverse the market back up to like 6,831. Right. So that's what I'm watching right now is 6813 on SPX will be the target for kind of a bigger bounce here, if you will. And that's going to happen if we squeeze out the short sellers chasing the market below that 50 SMA break. All right. So let's just watch that all happen and then kind of just giggle. All right. No, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but not really because this is, once you see this stuff repeat so many times, again, there's only so many options for the market and what it can actually, like what it can do, at the end of the day. Granted, it doesn't, it can always throw you for some confusing up and down little choppy thingies, but yeah, I mean, really, again, market can only go up and down, right? That's it. Now it can go up and down in a lot of different fashions, but again, it can only go up or down, right? So just find out where it can go up to or where it can go down to, and you'll start removing a lot of questions. It's also kind of a really hard thing to do to figure out. I mean, again, it took me 11 years basically to figure out. Well, there you go. It took me 11 years to wake up and one day go on a YouTube stream and just basically tell you guys, hey, this is where the market's going to go, and then it goes there, right? Not an easy thing to do. It took me 11 years, and I still haven't made millions trading. So there you go. Learn how to predict the market, where it's going to go before it goes there, and still not make millions, right? Welcome to the emotional, psychological side of the market. Maybe that's the saying, once you know too much, maybe it hurts. I don't know. Maybe it hurts you. And would you look at, oh, don't even do this don't you hit us with the shy. If it's shies, that would be funny. Nice bounce there. Good bounce. So remember, like we said, what are we trying to do? It's either we're trying to break it down or bounce it right here. And, granted, you should always like this is one thing, right? So this is our that yellow line I'm pointing to, that's the over under, right? So it's a bounce or a breakdown. Well, when the market sells straight off into it, we never assume it's just going to break and go. We always assume there's going to be hesitation or a bounce, right? So that's the rule of first tags, right? The first time a market trades into support, that's support. The next time it trades into it, it's getting weaker and weaker, which is exactly the opposite way it's taught to you guys, or well, everyone for that matter. Any new trader in the market is always taught, yeah, the more times a stock hits this level is the stronger the support. No, stop. Not true. No. The first time a stock or the first time a market trades into a level is the best support. Same as if the market runs into resistance for the first time. Granted, a beginner trader does not know how to find support and resistance unless they can visually see it's already happened. So that's why they have to be taught that way first because they don't know how to predict the stock market can sell to here and then bounce here, right? They have to see the bounce to then draw sideways to go, oh, that's support, right? So the rule there is if something is trading into your level for the first time, so started here, that's a first tag bounce, right? That's That's how support is developed, essentially. And now all of the retail traders in the market this morning can now see this low, right? And they now all think that is support, right? Because this was created here. Granted, if none of them watch the 30-minute 50 SMA on right here, granted, if none of them watch the 30-minute 50 SMA kind of like we do, then now they could have other reasons for the markets bouncing, which it's totally true, right? Not saying that they don't have something there, but we are using the 30-minute 50 SMA on the SPY here to basically control this bounce in this market, right? So that's why we created that bounce there, right? And if you don't watch that, then you have no idea, right? And that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing. We're literally just using that as a bounce. And now we're going to roll this thing right back down, I think. Actually, I got to check one more thing here. What's the low of this thing here? Yeah, we haven't even tested. Well, yeah, so we still have some low VWAPs there to test, arguably. So, well, we'll see. It's kind of an interest. It's not. Did that kind of quick. I mean, we kind of have some other VWAPs that could very well be being used in there. So it's really kind of have like support right there in that zone. We haven't yet back tested SPX there, so that's pretty much still on deck. Oh, I forgot. I gotta look at the VIX. Yeah, the VIX probably broke. Yep, VIX broke back down there a little bit. I don't want to say it broke back down, but it definitely broke down a little bit to throw below that 50 SMA we were using earlier. So if the VIX is breaking back down that 50 SMA, then volatility is kind of slowly leaving the market again. So that's kind of one of those things where if the VIX, like we said, if the VIX could not sustain the breakout, so like right here, if we bring this up, so look at this, dang it, I'm trying to get there. Hold on one second. Look at this screen here. Or sorry, I'm trying my best, guys. Sorry. All right, so if you look at this screen here, so what do we just talk about? First tag metrics, right? Kind of jam. So we know the VIX did what? It went into a downtrend back here. And I'm going to use my drawing tools from Zoom. So right here, we know what? The VIX went into a breakdown. So breakdown. So what is today really in the eyes of the VIX? It's a back test of that 30-minute bearish trend, right? So if it cannot break out and express more volatility, then this is just the start of a rejection of the VIX, and it's going to continue its downtrend, and we're going to bounce the market really big, arguably. When I say really big, don't take that with a grain of salt. All I'm saying is if the VIX is rejecting the SMA trend, it's just a 30-minute resistance check and down, right? Which then means what? Which means we are going to continue probably bouncing the market, right? So that's kind of one thing we're paying attention to. Simultaneously, we're also looking at whether or not the SPX actually breaks out the 50 SMA. So you see how we've bounced the SPX? Oh, dang it. Oh, that's because it's Zoom. That's right. Too much yellow going on. Too much yellow these days. But yeah, so there's the bounce trade complete for the back test, right? So if we look at SPX, right on the chart right now, you can see we took the market where? Back to that yellow line. Why? Because, well, that's just kind of what happens, right? You can see if you look where the SMA trend's at, right? So look at the SMA trend on SPX. All right, cool. Now look at where the 50 SMA is at, that yellow line right there. And then you go look at a 1 minute if you want, and you can see that was the breakdown and now the back test. So this is where the VIX, or sorry, SPX is getting its opportunity to kind of stay bearish. I know I'm talking a lot. There's a lot in there, but again, on days like today, it's where there's a lot happening, right? The market is moving a bit. It's interacting with all your levels. We're touching the SPX 50. We're touching the SPY 50. We're touching the VIX 50, etc. There's a lot going on behind the scenes today. So these are days that there really is a lot going on, there's a lot of computer talk, right? When I say computer talk, a lot of important simple moving averages are being hit this morning. SPX, SPY, VIX, etc., VVIX. So behind the scenes, computers are going crazy right now. They're like, oh, are we breaking the market down? Are we not breaking it down? Are we bouncing the market? Like, what are we doing here? Right? That's what's happening in real time. I guess all the time, but specifically today, there's a lot of simple moving averages getting hit. So behind the scenes, we know there's a lot of if-then statements being processed in the computerized algorithmic trading world based off of what we're seeing. So that's just important. That's weird. Really goofy. All right, so what does that mean now? That means, I mean, I actually did. Sabactation, shabactation. What? That is crazy. Some laggy stuff there. I don't know what that was. Me no likey. I mean, yeah, if the VIX ends up, not breaking out, essentially this could turn into a huge, I mean, a really good bounce in the market. So we'll see. It just depends, right? The 1 hour's flat there. Again, it's really up to the VIX. Again, if the VIX ends up rejecting 30-minute trend, stays down, then basically this turns into a bounce on the market, but maybe a little soon to tell that one just yet. Let's look at SPXs. 1 hour's not tagged. I would say we haven't tagged the 1 hour trend of SPX or SPY for that matter, so we arguably might even have to sell all the way down to 67692 as well. Basically, if we give up the 30-minute trend a little bit here on SPY, which is 67802, then we'll look to be taking the market down to 67691. And right now we do have the VIX back over that 30-minute trend as we were talking about. We kind of pushed above it, rejected it. Now we're kind of creeping back over it. Again, we'll see. Um, but yeah. Again, so just note that we are looking for down to as far as six set wait, what did I say? 676.92? Yeah, we're looking all the way down to 676.92 with confirmation or holding below 678. Wait, does that really make, did I just say that? That doesn't sound right. Oh yeah, wait, no, that is right. Let me double check. I feel like I'm saying that way wrong. Wait, hold on. What are you even doing? All right, let's take another peek here. What did I just say? Yeah, no, that's right. It's actually a little lower. It does not look great, but let's see. So yeah, basically if we do get below 678 today with a little bit of confirmation, obviously roll this puppy down, then we will be looking towards 670, 686. 6, 7, 6, 8, 6. All right, so support getting held in that little dippy dippy. Support getting held in the dippy dippy. Yippee yippee. Alrighty. All shrighty. So, what's that tell us? It just tells us that currently the market is not willing to break down further. We got too much support being held here. Again, that's completely fine. Like I said before, this is the game you play when you get to here. You go, are we going to bounce or are we going to break down? Are we bouncing or are we breaking down? There's a lot of different talk going on right now in the markets. That's why we're also talking about it's like you got to be careful shorting down here, right? Because we sold the market to where we wanted to, right? Now we're coming into bounce territory. Now it's do we continue bouncing? Do we drop it out? Blah, blah, blah. Right now the VIX is just sitting at its breakout level. We still have an elevated VVIX, so there's still some fear there, but there we go. That's a little interesting candle. Let's say, all right, now we're kind of break. So let me show you real quick. So you see how we're kind of popping the market there. Now watch this chart here. So you can see like what is really just happening. It's again, we're just rejecting that 30-minute trend a little bit. So you see how we've popped into it. Now it's just really turning into a push and then a little red. So if this ends up basically turning into a rejection of the 30-minute, the market ends up turning into a big bounce here. Again, I don't make up the rules, it's just what ends up happening if the people that control the market want it to be, right? So I just know that on first rejection 30-minute trends like VIX, like this, like we're seeing, it can turn into really big bounces. It's just the people that control the market have to want it to be a bounce, right? So but we're set up in a way that this can turn into a nice bounce, which it already has since we've been talking about it a little bit. Granted, I was also looking at potential downsides there to 670, 686 if we confirm below 678, which we didn't. But yeah, and I'm kind of mad. I should have took some UPRO on that bounce. Would have been crushing. Damn, whatever. Yep. So now, I mean, I gotta say, we're probably just gonna be looking at dip longs off this low for the time being, because we hold the SPY, we held the SPY there, and now the SPX is recovered. So yeah, SPX is recovered, SPY's holding, VIX is rejecting. Yeah, we're just gonna have to stay long dippy dippy dippy. Long for my dippy dippy dippy. And again, like I said, if the I can't see it any other way now with the VIX rejecting the way it's rejecting, you just gotta stay long the dippy dippy. If it wants to, hope I'm just hoping that the long dippy dippy works great because with the VIX rejecting the way it is, that looks great. I can't complain about that. Doesn't mean there won't be little pullbacks here or there, but ultimately it's a good move. All right, so now, not now, but just in general, let's track some volume weighted average prices on this move so we can kind of track that two-step Magoo. Gonna hit him with the old two-step Magooster, Magooster, McGee. So we got that there. You have a structured kind of thingy there. Yeah. So either way, we're going to be looking for basically pullback dips to continue up. And if they fail to continue up, is what it is. This is nothing you can really do about that day. They're gonna do what was I going to do? Um, don't remember. How's our Bitcoin doing? Nothing happening. Again, guys, we're just kind of looking for the long dippy dippies, long dippy dippers, until stated otherwise. SGBX up and then down. What about ONDS? ONDS doing really well. Who would have thought? OTLK kind of meh. LHRC spanked. God's doing okay. All right, all right, all right now. Oh my gosh, look at the long dippy dippy, the long dippy dippy, the long dippy dippy. Wee! Who would have thought? Sell it down, then go back to long and hit him with the old Rippy Magoo. Long dippy dippy, and long dippy dippy. Now remember, what is a lot of this long dippy dippy have to do with? Oh, dang it, all my charts disappeared, whatever. All right, so remember, we're doing what? A 30-minute VIX trend rejection. So I have that little line mapped off. If you go look at, say, a 1 minute chart, maybe, here we go, 1 minute. There you go. So what's that kind of look like? So remember we said our long target today on the VIX is going to be up to 1845. If we can break it out, we're going to take the market down to the 50 SMA. If we can sustain the breakdown, we'll continue to sell off. If we can't, then it's a VIX rejection and we turn into a long dippy dippy, a long dippy dippy. So that's what happened. So we used the VIX long target to sell the market down, and then we used what did I just say? VIX market to sell something down, and then we used the VIX market to be sure. Yeah, you get the point. Either way. All right, so let's bring back up. What are we looking for? This guy, that guy. I need that guy. I think. Yippee yippee. Long dippy dippies, the long dippy dippies. See, today's a good day because today the markets are just doing pretty much everything you would want them to do. They're being relatively easy. They're listening to everything you say. They're not being annoying. you know. So, cheers to that. Cheers to that. But man, I definitely dropped the ball on the UPRO setup there pretty big. That was definitely would have been a little bit of a stack to the portfolio today if I was not such a Sally Magoo. All right, let me look at some of the advancing declining issue things, which I haven't really paid too much attention to so far today. So, advancing declining issue still kind of on the low side there. Volume starting to creep up a bit. S&P issues have been up. That's good. What about these guys? They're kind of bouncing a bit. Yeah. YouTube stream is going wild this morning. Wild. Oh, man. Like, who would have thought the market would hit the old long dippy. Speaking of, I would like a new dip so I can actually buy some more, but futures that is. I didn't kind of fumbled to play with UPRO there, so I'm dabbling on the future side of things here, but me not getting any dippy. There's no dippy, only rippy. Oh man, what a great play. Probably a lot of kids on the internet scrambling right now. Hey, did we finally get a little dippy? Okay. Okay. All right, we're getting dippies. What? No. That is actually somehow, that was weird. Well, any hooser. All right. So the long dippies are finally dipping. So let's see where this dippy goes to. Oh, we've already hit our first set of VWAP pullback levels. If we don't hold here, it's going to have to go to the next one down. Next one down is mapped off by that little box on the screen. So currently, we'll see if we get supported here. Nice. That's a good little dippy pickup. Bang, just like that. I really wouldn't mind seeing it drop out to the next zone below or next zone lower. Come on, you can do it. Just hit it with a little pullback. Hit it with a little bit more of a pullback. Bang. Well, I don't want to say bang. It's really nothing too special yet, but no, that's a little bit better. Oh, don't be lame. Ah, what a lame pop that was. Come on, pick up, baby. I mean, then again, we still didn't really tag the VWAPs on the low, so this might be a little early there. Again, we didn't really truly tag, so if we don't hold this little dip, it's just gonna sink right back down into the, yep, just like so. Right back down into the old VWAP structure. And then obviously this is where we're going to have to kind of start holding this, or else we could start be looking at more of a micro shelf dive because again, that's the current trend support off low. So everyone chasing up. All right, so now we're down to pullback target as suggested right there. This is where the market has to hold or else it goes, kind of craps out because that's just what happens. Do, 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 do. Man, that's all right. Market just don't not to want to continue. That's okay. Like I said, we were on low risk support down here. We rallied it up. We expect where the market could pull back to. There's no support found for the continuation in the moment. Might need a 5 minute. So if we continue, we're just going to drop out to about there now. Again, there's the dropout now to our 5 minute trend. So like I always say, if you don't hold the 1 minute, you transition to 5 minute. We just transitioned to 5 minute. Now the 5 minutes hitting its 5 minute over under. Right, so what we're also seeing is the VIX getting bought back up, but obviously, because if the market's pulling back, then that's what you'd assume would happen. But yeah, I mean, let's see. Let me pull it down. So we already went over this quite a bit, but again, you can actually this needs to be updated a little bit. Dude, computer, thank you. Work. Yeah, so right now the VIX, as long as it stays below 1830, we still have opportunity to kind of keep bouncing the market up because it tells us the VIX is still into a downtrend, if you will. Safe to long now? I don't know. Probably not. Again, as we talked about earlier, we were long from the lows. The lows would be the more ideal spot to be long, right? So we were talking about watching for bounces down here and obviously through this part, but now I'm not suggesting watching for long biasness. Well, not necessarily, but again, we were looking long down here in this move, right? This is the pullback, so we're pulling it back down to potential support areas. So, um, it's always hard to say. I can't really make trades for you. Could it keep bouncing? Sure. Am I really looking super long bias in this exact moment? Not really. And the reason I'm not looking super long bias is because just I can just tell it's just not my vibe. Again, we started failing, like, for example, right here, like, ready, watch. Like, when we look at the 1 minute volume weighted average price trend, we didn't even hold that, right? We were lackluster through that. So it tells me we're not even trying to build a higher low on the 1 minute, etc. And then the same thing here. If you look at the VIX, right? Damn, computer. If you look at the VIX, right? I could see what we're going for a back test on the VIX. It's just no, just not full blown long. Granted, like 10 seconds ago, I was saying that, but that's because it was a straight up long. Um, so, but anyways, now you can see the market is sliding out, it's dropping out. That's again why I was saying don't be long there, or we're not looking long anymore. Yada, yada, yada. Again, trading is not easy by any means necessary. Where is my freaking? There it is. Yeah, so like, for example, let me just re actually 1 second, let me think. So was I looking at SPX? I was. So that's SPX, that's SPY. Yeah, so let me explain a little bit more. So for example, or let's explain this a little bit better, or try to. Ready? So, like for example, this is what we call the system. If the market is over the SMA, the market is bullish, right? So if you're over, bullish. So ready? Market goes up. That same SMA that I'm pointing arrows at dictates uptrend and downtrend, meaning it's the start point of bounces and breakdowns. So like this morning, right now, today, now that we have sold into it, me, you, everyone, computers, we're playing a game right now of do we want to bounce it or break it down? All right. So more like 10, 15 minutes ago, what happened? So real quick, I'm gonna add a horizontal line. All right. So right now, this morning, we're playing a game of do we want to bounce or do we want to break down? Okay. As it relates to short-term trading and volatility and whatever and momentum, generally your best support trades for short-term trading, literally day trading, will come when the price of the market, the price of your stock, your cryptocurrency, anything hits your level for the first time. So if we change this and we go and just look at a 5 minute, we know that this arrow right there that I just made, that one, that's the 50 SMA. It dictates bounces and breakdowns, right? So this morning, when the market was selling down into the 50 SMA for the first time, I said, be careful shorting down here. This is where we look to do bounces. Bounce. Now you come in 5 minutes ago and go, is it a good time to get long now? Well, is it the first move into the 50 SMA? No, then you're already not playing as good of a long as you could have previously. All right. What else? Is it holding, say, higher lows? Well, some of the things we look for higher lows would be VWAP structure. So let's take VWAPs, anchor to the low. Okay. What did we notice? Market moves up, pulls back kind of, and then it's just it I could just see in that price action it's not holding, right? So we're not even developing higher lows based off of volume trend. It's just falling right back through. Weakness. So if you had asked me a few minutes ago, like 20, 30, 40, or like an hour ago, hey, is it a good time to watch long? I would say, yeah, this is actually a pretty decent time to watch long on the lows, right? Now, someone would say, well, how did you know that those lows were going to be supported? It's not that I knew that those lows would be supported. I just know that we're selling off into the 50 SMA, and we just typically look to support the market there. So we're going to look to create lows in the market here, right? So if you would have asked me 20, 30 minutes ago if it was a good time to go long, probably would have said, yeah, not a bad time. Now that you're asking me, you're late, right? Because we were looking for longs off that. So now you're asking me during this pullback, not that it couldn't keep going, but in terms of a day trade, you're not on that ideal level anymore, right? And when it comes to day trading, you need to be precise. So, not a good time to long. VIX is back up to the 50 SMA recovering. That means markets are kind of trying to express a little bit more fear in the market. We still have the VVIX up, so there's still people that are hedged in this market, which means, the smarter players of the stock market have not removed their fear. So that tells us we're not full-blown long bias. Granted, we did do a nice bounce there and a nice dippy dippy, but even with that bounce, it wasn't enough to change the sentiment of those that are hedging bearishly on the market, and really wasn't enough to prevent I mean, the VIX is shot right back up. Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, we call yeah, short. Yeah, shorting. That's good. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, you're right. You've been here pretty much the whole time, so appreciate that. Where the heck is my freaking? There it is. What just? Wait, hold on. Why is that not? Oh, clear draw. There we go. I just don't know what I'm doing. That's all. Yeah, I've actually done pretty well for myself today trading. I'm kind of salty I missed the bounce at the UPRO because that would have been good for my Roth IRA. Um, but is what it is. Oh boy. Tired. Now, real quick, if we do end up doing like a full-blown sell-off, and when I say full-blown sell-off, I just mean if the market gets acceptance below the 50 SMA, which we kind of did on the SPX already, I guess you could say. We're kind of back. Actually, I'm being stupid. I need to pay closer attention. That's what I'm being. I'm being dumb. I need to get my sh together right now. So that's that. Yeah, what am I doing? Silly goose. I could have been whacking a trade, but yeah, whatever. Um, but yeah, if we do end up doing a kind of straight up sell move today and at least accepting below the 50 SMA, by the end of the day, we should see news organizations obviously all turn bearish, all pump bearish news, and then we're probably going to see something like stocks extend sell off today because of CPI, right? Because we had CPI today, inflation data came out. So if by the end of the day the dust settles and the market stays down and it stays bearish, then all the news articles on the internet will probably, not all of them, but we know some of them will probably be pushing the narrative of, oh, the CPI came out and it's worrying investors. Maybe inflation is still sticky or whatever. And that's why the market's down, right? So since we had economic data today, specifically CPI, if in the event markets stay down, that's going to be likely something that the news organizations are going to attach the bearish sentiment for the day to. Granted, it's just markets and us understanding trend and moving things bearishly when it's supposed to be moved bearish. And then whatever news we can do attach to it, we're going to do that, which again, you guys know because I repeat this all the time. So, but like I said, right now we are, well, hold on. I was gonna say, I think there's going to be a scalpable bounce here. But I was going to say we are following the 1 minute volume weighted average price trend of SPX right now. So we got to be focused on whatever I just said, the 1 minute 50 SMA trend on the VIX. 1 minute 50 SMA VWAP trend, that is. All right. Little scalpable bounce. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about just the market in general. We need a back test. Hmm. I mean, yeah, personally, I would like to see our SMA trend, but I just don't know if they're, or our VWAP trend. I just don't know if they're going to give it to us like that soon. Probably not, because that's typically how the market does. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the market's definitely bearish below the SPX 50 SMA. They haven't given us a back test of the SMA trend, which means, yeah, just sucks because that would be a perfect short. Just can't get into it without chasing that move down, unfortunately. If 678 don't hold, we're going to, well, I don't have it on the screen, but it was 676 something. Let me see. Um, what am I doing? Yeah, regular trading hours. Yeah, so we're gonna go down to pretty much here. Yeah. Yeah, we should see the market go down to 676.82 if the market plays nice. If they basically try to do a bunch of scammy stuff, then, whatever. But it should go down to 670, whatever I just said, 676.81. Just double check SPX. No, hasn't hit. Gotta love that scam pop. That's the straight up definition of just straight scam. Right? It's like take out low instead of going right down to support, you just instantly pop it back. Gotta love a algorithm scam. Oh, alrighty. Well, I'm surprised YouTube hasn't been pushing our YouTube stream more. I thought YouTube would love for, someone to educate people on the markets about where they'll go before they go. But soon, I can feel it. It's coming in the air, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be there soon. We'll be here 5 years later, probably just the same. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels. Hmm. Again, there's still fear in the market, ladies and gentlemen. Still fear in the marquees. Those both on hedging and just in general. Fear is kind of being expressed in the market a little bit. I would really like to see the markets tag that 676.81, completing the sell move to the 1 hour trend, and then maybe even looking for a little bit of a scalp long there. Only thing that's kind of sketchy about that is the 1 hour trend looks terrible, right? The 1 hour trend is just straight flat and sideways, so that's a little sketchy that we wanted to buy into, but we'll see. All right, question is, are we gonna get the true tag? Come on, baby. Let's go market, finish the sell move down to the 1 hour trend and be cool. Be like Mr. Cool Guy. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I didn't really hit it yet, but we're getting close. We're getting so close, baby. Come on, darling. Oh, what is that? What loser came in and bought that candle? Well, I'm gonna go get a refill on this coffee. Mm, mm, should I? Or do I wait? I really want my coffee. Oh, come on. You left a 1 minute doji. Just sink it out. Sink it out. Finish the move. It already knows it wants it. It's practically priced in anyways. I mean, yeah, that's how the algorithms speak. I mean, we are below the 30-minute trend, so typically we go to the 1 hour. It's just straight up. It usually is programmed like that. Not always perfect, but you know what I mean. The 1 hour would be that next liquidity area. All right, anyways, I'm gonna go get this coffee. And by the time I come back, it'll happen. Is that another target hit? Oh my God, how does the kid do it? Ah, again, guys, we got fear in the market. Everyone's all scared. Ah. It reminds me of the kid at Costco. That video, I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. Yeah, some of you probably have, but that one's a good one where he's like holding a box. Um, it's, it's like on like that like thing that lifts you up and he's freaking out. Anyway, that's hilarious. Anyways, if you have the time, just watch up, Costco kid box screaming. You'll probably find it. All right, so a big learning lesson for all of us here today is really understanding the why. Everyone in Discord. What Discord are you referring to? What Discord? Um, yeah, so the main the yeah, well, still what Discord is that? Yeah, so the big takeaway today, guys, is understanding that there's fear being expressed in the market. Um, yeah, so anyways, fear is being expressed in the market. We saw this happening since yesterday. Well, hold on. I'm jumping the gun on you guys. We did not see fear get expressed into the market yesterday, right? So you see how today is turning into more of like the cascade move. Remember how we talked about this morning? I'm like, we could do kind of a cascade day. Like this might be where we kind of drown out the market a little bit. And I don't know exactly what's going to always happen, right? Because we talked about the market cascading, and I'm like, well, this could turn into a big bounce, and sure enough, it bounced, and then it sold back off, right? So the market always does whatever it wants at the end of the day, but you kind of have some ideas, right? But the main takeaway is that, um, yeah, see, that's a perfect example. That's a perfect example there. Wang Koi. I hope that's right, and if it is, I love to say it like that because you know me, Wang Koi. Love it. Yeah, so main takeaway, fears being expressed in the market. Let's read the storybook. All right. So the storybook starts with yesterday. Yesterday on stream, whatever, and we know CPI's coming. CPI if yeah, my brain works too fast sometimes, I'm sorry. But anyways, what do we have yesterday? We have yesterday volatility of volatility. Now, yesterday you heard me saying institutional volatility. That's not really true. It's not, we don't, nobody really calls it institutional volatility. That's just a name that I gave it. So in the academic studies, you'd probably looked at as a fool if you said that. But on this stream, it sounds pretty cool, right? But anyways, so I called it institutional volatility. It's not really institutional volatility, but institutions use it like crazy. Some retail use it too. I said retail does, but some do, right? But it's not as common as just looking at the VIX, right? But it helps tell the storyline. So yesterday, what did we see? We saw that volatility of volatility was up. We call it tailwind risk, right? Unforeseen potential risk is elevating in the market. You may not have seen the stock market go down yet. It might not be getting spanked yet, but there is someone, something, smart people, banks, hedge funds, etc., hedging downside risk that started yesterday. CPI is today. All right. Ricky, yeah, I mean, I don't really have a full in one like depth outline video to cover all this. It's pretty much just kind of talked about in my videos. I don't really have a like a full how to. It's I haven't really done one of those in a long time. I am more than happy to make one. I'll try to do that here one of these days. So yeah, simple takeaway yesterday. Let's just make it simple. Yesterday we saw, we'll just say the smart players. We'll call them banks, we'll call them institutions, right? Um, Yesterday we saw the people, let's put it this way. Yesterday we saw the people that control the stock market starting to hedge against downside risk. All right. The stock market hadn't yet pulled back too much, but we saw the people that control the market starting to hedge downside risk. All right. It just so happens that the following day in the market would be a big economic data announcement day, CPI. All right. So maybe they're hedging for that. Maybe they're hedging because they know Trump is about to launch, I don't know, some airplanes over. Who knows? Don't know. But the people that control the market told me to tell you, based off the VVIX, that we're starting to hedge downside risk. Is it going to be legit? Whatever, don't know, right? But we could see that yesterday, right? So VVIX, which is again it's the hedging of potential risk. The volatility market, VIX, is the expression of that risk coming to fruition in real time. The downward price action you see on the market is the result of the VIX and the expression of the fear finally reaching the playing field. Okay? It starts with hedge. Hedge becomes reality. Reality is the VIX expressing the fear. The result is downward pressure on the markets. What are you seeing today? Granted, we did see it yesterday, but let's bring this up full screen. And we're gonna go back for 2 days or so, 5 day, 5 minute, whatever. All right, so let's look at this. I mean, yeah, we'll look at this 5 minutes good, right? So let's think about this, and I'm going to use a vertical line, right? So think about today's price action you're seeing. Think about yesterday's. Now, yesterday was not a bullish day by any means, right? It started with pullbacks. Also, let me just use a quick little drawing tool. This is super important stuff. I'm loving going over this. I mean, this makes me better, but I mean, it's very helpful stuff, right? So, yesterday, this drop here, right? That's how we started the morning, right? Like this whole area I'm circling, that was yesterday morning, right? So it's definitely a drop. So that's, it's a pullback, but what are we seeing today? Like that's a breakdown. That is legit. You can see the market structure has changed, right? We're up and then whack and roll, right? So you can see how structure has rolled down, all right? Why? Well, there's a million reasons why, but if you're reading the things I'm reading and you're going off the whys that I go off of, then I'll show you the why, right? So yesterday we have this pullback here, all right? And the day is pretty much down, flat down, right? Or whatever. So it's not bullish, but it's not extremely bearish, but it's kind of bearish. What did we see? So I'm gonna map the storyline off on this chart here. So what did we see? Vertical line Alt V. All right. And then I'm going to put on some text. All right. Yesterday, we saw VVIX increase such that we conclude um, downside risk hedging is happening. All right. It might not be the best way of saying that, but downside risk slash hedging is happening. So yeah, good enough. Whatever. All right. So yesterday we know that based off of what's happening on the VIX, or sorry, the VVIX, we're starting to see the hedging of potential downside risks. All right. So it hasn't happened, right? There's the potential for it to happen. The hedging, right? The protecting. It's called insurance, right? We don't know if our house is going to burn down or if some lady who's been drinking and driving is about to crash into me as soon as I leave my house here today. But it could happen. So in case, I'm going to get insurance. Now, granted, in the world, you're basically forced to get insurance because you can't get a house without it and you can't drive it. So regardless, right, you're getting insurance. But in the stock market, you have the option to buy insurance or not buy insurance. All right. That being said, yesterday we saw insurance plays being bought. Right. Insurance was be taking on. Right. There was insurance insuring the risk for downside action. All right. So we know what VVIX is insurance, downside risk hedging. Volatility index, just VIX, is the expression of the volatility and the expression of the fear into the market. So when did the VIX go positive and start truly confirming VVIX, right? VVIX is the hedge. The VIX would be the confirmation that the hedge was correct. And then if the VIX happens, then the market goes down, right? So now today we have Alt V. All right. So today this would be VIX expressing the concerns of VVIX from one day prior. Okay. So that would be today. And then basically all of this down drop that you're seeing would be what we would say is the result the result of fear expressed within price action of the stock market. Oh, shit. Stock market. All right. Because what does everyone know? Everyone and their mom knows that if the VIX is going up, the market's going down. Right. But that's how the storybook works. Right. That's how it happens. All right. And then what else do we have? Hold on one second. Let's see where I'm just gonna map that out. So it's right there. Okay. So what else do we have here? We have, and I'm gonna adjust this line so that it's the way it needs to be. That's yeah, okay. 67680. Hold up. Um, that's supposed to be here, right there, and then that's down. So yeah, also be mindful. Don't be too short bias here because we're coming into that 1 hour trend. You know what? Forget it. I'm not gonna say too much. I got to get done with this. All right. So that's kind of the timeline. And now I would say maybe one of the last things that I should touch on is the price points, right? So now what I'm going to point arrows to are specifically the yellow lines. All right. The yellow lines obviously are the price points of two SMA calculations. So this would be the SPY or soy SPY 50 SMA. And this one here is going to be the SPX 50 SMA. Now, the system is, you're supposed to use SPX for the system. I use SPY and SPX combined because I find edge in using both of them. But the reality is the system is supposed to be used on the SPX, right? So if you were to think about where did the stock market break down today based off of the 50 SMA on the SPX, it would have been all the way up here, right? Now, if you were only looking at the SPY 50 SMA, where did it break down? Right there. All right. But if you just think about it in general sense, right? What we have seen is one day ago, people that control the market started hedging for potential downside risks. Move into today, what happens? The market breaks down the 50 SMA, right? And flips bearish as it relates to SMA signaling. The volatility index starts to break out its SMA, fear being expressed in the markets, etc. So that's the play. And then obviously your horizontal yellow lines are just kind of where those breakdowns of the SMAs are happening. So you can see how fear is starting to happen even more as you're starting to flip these SMAs down, right? Because you could hedge for downside risk. You could see the VIX start to break up, right? Start to go up, but it still may not be enough to break the markets down below their SMAs and spread big fear, right? So that's what I was just trying to emphasize today is we did legitimately break down the SPX 50 SMA. We did legitimately even go below the SPY, the 50 SMA and the SPY. So all of those fearful metrics that were being priced into the market a day ago were legit, right? In a sense, because we really did just break the market down a bit. You can see it, right? So that's how the market works. Um, 100%. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, that's how that game goes. So the last thing, in my opinion, YouTube likes is yeah, again, the last thing YouTube likes is my channel being front and center on YouTube for teaching trading and streaming, right? Because then what are we going to do? We're going to tell people a day ahead of time, like, hey, watch out, market could be dropping, right? And then what happens the next day, the market's down, right? So a day ahead ago, we could have told you, hey guys, watch out. You're probably going to see news shift bearish, right? So, you know, I hate to sound cocky in that sense, but the game does not want any of us to win, right? The best thing for the stock market industry is losers, people to lose, people to give up all their money, etc., chase around a bunch of indicators, chase around scanners, and buy subscriptions to trade ideas and buy subscriptions which I used to promote. I no longer promote. That was a mistake that I did in the past in a way. It's not a mistake. It's just, you didn't know what you didn't know. So, anyways, like I said, the best thing for the stock market industry is for people to lose. The best thing for the stock market industry is for people to never actually learn how the stock market works. Um, so, anyways, cheers to you guys. Appreciate you for hanging out with me each day and having fun. I sent your YouTube to Disc. Nice. That's great. Great news. The owners of that Discord will not be happy. And that's another thing, right? If you send my YouTube videos in there and then and I'm not saying anybody has to pay for the chat rooms that we offer, right? I mean, I have a chat room that I kind of, manage behind the scenes with my business partner Brandon, who does a bunch of live trading and crushes it, makes great money trading, right? So it's like, yeah, we have a service, but at the end of the day, it's like you could literally just hang out on YouTube, for as long as I'm on YouTube. I can't say I'll be here for free forever, but I hope to be in some fashion or another. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're here on YouTube, I mean, you can pretty much get this information for free. You can get it all in for free in like my YouTube videos too. So, like I was saying, it's like the last thing you'd want. The last thing any Discord owner would want is me in their Discord telling all of their members, like, hey, you don't need to buy this guy's subscription. You could literally just learn how the stock market system works, right? Yeah, you may be learning it from me, but this is how it works, right? And so again, that they don't want that. And I get it. Hell, I'm not perfect. I'm not, dude, I've had so many losses trading, big ones, some small ones, stretches of losing streaks, unprofitable years, all said and done, even when you weigh against my long-term accounts and short-term accounts, right? I'm not gonna sit here and just like, talk your guys' ear off like I'm the greatest thing since, Jesus as far as trading goes. But I sure as shit, I'm not here to bullshit you in any way, shape, or form. I'm only trying to get better myself, and I'm only trying to give away good information. It's really my main goal at this point in my life. And then also to retire a little early. So yeah, basically, hopefully, I hit my goals of retiring by 42 or 40, and then I'll just be chilling on YouTube probably like this for the end of times, just hanging out. Um, because I'm never going to stop watching the market. That's never going to happen. I'll be watching the market probably till I die. Um, in this fashion, right? So I can only imagine what my skill set's going to look like in another 10 years and how much more the stock market industry is going to hate me. Let me correct. You saw the VIX yesterday about to break up, so you predicted the market. Um, Ricky, so your question about it's not that I saw, well, I did see that. I definitely saw that the VIX had the potential to break up, but it first started with VVIX. All right, so this is what I saw. All right, so let's actually just focus on the two charts here. This upper left and this kind of this one these two right here that I'm hovering over. So the one on the top side is the VIX, and the one on the bottom side is VVIX, right? So yesterday, if you look, you'll see the VIX did start grinding up a bit, but we had a mega gap up on VVIX. So if you look yesterday, I'll zoom in on both. So here's yesterday and today. So yesterday, right at the open, VVIX mega gap up, huge gap up, right? And it basically just kind of chilled. It didn't like sell off, none of that, just kind of hanging out. What about the VIX? The VIX just opened flat, right? Nothing there, whatever. So my eyebrow raises and my thinking cap goes on. I'm like, why on earth is volatility of volatility gapping up big, but there's no expression of that on the VIX? Well, if there's no expression of it on the VIX, it's because the market isn't reacting yet, or it's the markets are anticipating something's coming and the VIX hasn't quite figured it out, or the market hasn't quite figured it out, or it's not quite priced into the market yet, being reflected. We're not seeing it, right? But the question still remains, why? Why are we starting to express such high demand and volatility of volatility? Why are we gapping it up? Why are we increasing it so much so? And the volatility index is not following suit, right? Either VVIX is wrong, right? In the sense that people are hedging, right? And they're wrong, or the bearish move is yet to come, right? So we see volatility of volatility, mega gap up yesterday. No expression on the VIX. That's like, okay, what's going on? Right. So does that mean it's to come? We're going to find out. And so then I start thinking to myself, and I would go, well, why would someone be hedging downside risk? Is there anything that we can see coming? Ah, we have CPI tomorrow. Like, okay, like that's a catalyst. That could be the reason why, right? So when you start to see these volatility increases in the market like so, you can start to think, well, what's going on that we can't see or that hasn't happened? Oh, yeah, Trump is talking tomorrow, or like, oh, Jerome Powell's talking tomorrow. Like, oh, there's CPI tomorrow, or oh, there's FOMC tomorrow. So there's plenty of catalysts that the market knows are going to happen based off of economic data, but there's also unforeseen things, right? So it's more likely that you would see volatility increase like we saw yesterday when there's a known volatile economic announcement coming up. Now, something that volatility of volatility, right, would not be able to see is like for example, I don't know why my brain went here, but for example, let's say a pigeon in New York City somehow flew into the electrical box of the New York Stock Exchange, and now the New York Stock Exchange has been shut off and completely down, right? No one could have possibly known that a pigeon was going to come flying out of the sky and create and disrupt the electrical current to the New York Stock Exchange and everything shuts down, right? Who the hell could have predicted that? That would be totally unforeseen. The market would be totally caught off guard. There would have been no signal in volatility of volatility for such event. What would happen is people would panic and freak out, and the market would go down and the VIX would be screaming, right? But and now VVIX would start to move because obviously, right? But there's no way someone could have pre-planned for that, right? Unless they were the one controlling the bird, right? So there's things that are happening that can be foreseen to some degree, And there's things that will happen in our lifetimes that affect markets in ways that we could not have foreseen coming. When those events happen, people become even more fearful because there was never protection for it, right? Like how much more scared would you be for your house if your neighbor's caught on fire and you didn't actually have insurance? You'd be panicking way more than if you had insurance, right? Because if you had insurance, like, well, yeah, I might lose all my stuff, but there's still some recourse, right? I can get my stuff back and rebuild. But if you don't have insurance, you'd be like, oh, snap, I'm panicking. I'm about to run around and do everything I can to maybe put this fire out, as opposed to, well, what. So that's how you yeah, that's my spiel, I guess. So hopefully you enjoyed that and hope that makes some sense. So yeah, that's pretty much that for the day. So yeah, this is maybe that good time to mention, guys. We are no longer long biased the stock market. We are bearish, which granted, you guys know we've already pretty much been bearish since yesterday and into today because we saw the change coming, right? Um, but as far as it relates to the system, right? As it relates to the system, we are not long biased the stock market anymore. We are bearish. And that bearishness from the system was alerted as early as this morning at 9:34 in the morning. That was the first breakdown of the SPX 50 SMA. From that point forward, we weren't long biased the stock market for swing long stuff. Hell, even the day before, we're kind of like leaning off that. But either way, so yeah, we're not long biased the stock market. We flipped it back bearish. Um, for the time being, the volatility index is positive, and there is no breakdown in we'll just call it institutional volatility still. Um, so we will go back to long bias, swing long the market when we will start changing bias, if you will, when VVIX breaks down, starts to signal us, or if the volatility index breaks down, or if the market goes back into a buy move. So just a couple days ago, what were we telling you guys? Hey guys, we're long bias the stock market, we're long bias the stock market. We can only change and be bearish if the volatility index starts to break out or if the market starts to break down, and then we can change bias. Over the past couple days, what did we see? VVIX start to break up, VIX start to break up, market breakdown. Okay, we're transitioning. All right. So now what's the story going to be? Hey guys, we can go back to being long bias the stock market if the volatility index breaks down and if the stock market breaks out. So when does that happen? I have no clue. It's going to happen when it happens. I don't control the market. We just watch it. We stay patient. And when it happens, we tell you guys on the internet. And that's pretty much it. So, what are we going to do? We are going to stay bearish the stock market until I say so or until the system says so. When I say I, it's because you guys are listening to me to a degree. So, until I or the system, which I follow, tells me that we're supposed to shift back long bias, then we're not going to do that. All right. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out and just be chilling for the next couple days or so until the market says, "Hey, go back long," and then we'll just go back long, right? So when we go back long, I'm gonna buy UPRO 3 times leverage ETF and try to make 3x the return of the market next time around. When is that gonna be? Have no clue, but I'll let you know. How's our favorite shitcoin doing? Just lovely. Just lovely. You know what? Gosh, if I freaking predict this thing perfect, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna absolutely cry. If this thing actually sells off to my price target, that's gonna be absolutely lit. Yeah, don't worry, I'll let you guys know. Well, I don't know. See, I'm a kind of a superstitious person, so it's like I'm always like, well, if I say I'm buying, then they're gonna move it. I always have superstitions. I'm like, well, if I start saying I'm buying, then for sure it's gonna go lower because you know, um, Yeah, it just has superstitions, but yeah, you'll definitely be knowing one way or the other about what my ideas are, to some degree. Granted, if, in a year and a half time, we're still streaming on YouTube and we still have 9 to 10 on average viewers, then I will definitely let you guys know where I'm buying. But if by then we have a couple hundred to a couple thousand, I might have to, give hints, but be a little secretive, if you will. Because at that point, the ideas are more mainstream and less so. It's like, if the ideas stay less mainstream, then we're fine. If the ideas become a little more mainstream, then I have to probably readjust my thoughts some. Yeah, but I'm just saying that would be wild because we did start this analysis. Now, I've been following Bitcoin for, pretty much as long as I've been in the market and investing and trading and, doing all this good stuff. So, yeah, but what would be wild is that, and there might be some individuals in the chat with us. I mean, there's only 8, so it's not there's a ton, but there might be some in here that are also have been in our Discord for some time and whatnot that would, confirm what I'm saying to you guys. But I mean, yeah, I mean, literally 3 years ago, we said, it's definitely the time to buy Bitcoin. Um, keep buying it. I buy it. I buy it right now. What's today? Is today for Thursday? I did not buy it today, but I buy Bitcoin 3 times a week, every single week without hesitation. Granted, I'm not buying thousands of dollars worth, but I buy it decent chunk here and there 3 times a week without hesitation, right? That's not big buys, right? But yeah, so 3 years ago, buy Bitcoin. I'm buying it 3 times a week. We're gonna stay long, and we had price targets, as high as, maybe 156. It's hard to say, but because standard deviation moves. But anyways, we had price targets of 150, 160s. Our initial price targets for the long would be 115 to 125. We hit both of those, but as we hit those, then price targets adjusted with statistical probability, blah, blah, blah. But what's crazy is 3 years ago, we basically said, we don't know exactly how high this thing can go, but it could go either here, here, here. And we're going to stay long and try to hit all of those price targets until at least we run into September to October of 2025. And then we have to change bear. So whether or not we hit 115, 125, 157, it doesn't matter. But if we get into September to October of 2025, we are going to transition to neutral to bearish. So whatever price we get to by that timeline, it just is what it is. Regardless if we want it to go 175 or 150, which we did not get. September, October came soon, if you will, and we could not get it much higher, right? We've hit our timeline. We are now neutral to bearish for the next 2 years, if you will. All right. So if we do end up being pretty much neutral to bearish for the next 2 years, that means I myself have essentially correctly mapped off Bitcoin for 5 years straight then. That's crazy if that ends up happening, right? Like that's crazy. Like I'm would be shocked myself. I'm kind of shocked already. Like I really don't know how I've done it that accurate. I think it's kind of like lucky. Like seriously, I don't know how. We've predicted it this well so far, along with all of the other random little bounces and turns and twists in there. What also is crazy, even with predicting it that well, I'm still not retired. So again, that's another crazy thing. It's like, even though you're done great, kind of dumb because you should have made a lot more money. But that's always the unknown. It's like, if I would have known that I was going to predict it perfectly for 3 years straight up, yeah, I would have literally bought every single long-term leap option I possibly could have and every single dollar I could have into the play. Yeah, then I'd be stinking rich, right? But did I know for sure that I was going to correctly call it all the way up there and then we were going to roll no, no. But it's all happened perfectly, which is crazy. So is that telling me that the next time around, when I think it's the bottom, I should just do some stupid stuff and just leverage up to the tits, you know? It's like so I'm over here playing a bunch of mind games myself. It's getting harder on my mind the better I get at analyzing things because then you play the game of like should you be swinging for a home run? And then you watch it play out perfectly and you're like, "Oh, I'm dumb." You know? So a lot of mental battles on this side. Ricky, that is awesome. I appreciate that. That is exactly what me and my business partner want for pretty much anyone. You know, like I said, you can learn my styles and you can still struggle at trading like I have myself, you know, at times, and still do some days. You know, it's like, wow, it's like I knew exactly what was going to happen. I still didn't really make any money on that. Like what more can you ask for? You know what I mean? It's like you literally said it would go to this price, and then somehow your P&L reflects that you then like what? It doesn't even make sense. So it's there's still the psychological side, but I can, you know, do my best every day here and whatnot to help you kind of get up to speed on at least the things I know. And, you know, if that helps you kind of, you know, get in the game and crush it, then that's beautiful. And that's what's happened for a couple of our guys. Our website's going good. We're kind of like in the process of trying to secure Discord. Discord is the best forms of communication and chatting and just it's hard to find any website or platform, and even for that matter, build one without spending crazy amounts of money, where you could have like a live stream chatting functionability or functions. Functionability is not even a word, but chat function, live streaming, and then like video hosting all in one. It's not, for whatever reason, in 2025, 2026 almost, we don't have that yet. So. Yeah. So it's almost there. We're kind of in the security phase of trying to prevent people from sharing the stream and things like that. But we're getting close, very close to it being where we would like it. We've secured all our domains and things like that. So to us, it was very important to keep Discord if we could, but it's you know, it's not easy to integrate Discord into any sort of site. And then if someone cancels, and you got to speak to Discord and remove their role. And so it becomes a challenge in that regard, but we're close to solving it. So yeah. But yeah, Ricky, that's kind of another famous thing my business partner likes to say is like, you know, you guys are here like when you know when people are in our paid version chat room, right? And they're doing it all live and seeing live trades with my business partner Brandon, who, like I said, you know, he's the one who runs the live trading stuff because he's just that good, far more consistent, right? So, you know, you got to recognize strengths, which that's much his. So, you know, he kind of runs that side of the paid version, if you will. And you know, what was I gonna say? um oh yeah, his famous saying, he's like, you guys are here to learn these systems. We are not like a signal group. That's not why we educate you on strategy and edge in the market and things that actually matter and do work repeatably to a degree, right? And you're here to learn those things, and you can watch us do some of these things live, etc. But I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and if you don't learn these things, then it's no good, right? So our objective really is not to sell any subscription or like alert service of anything. It's there so you can see the strategies, right? Um, yeah, yeah. Yes, to answer your question. But that's it, right? It's so you can see these things actually happen. You can learn the systems, learn the strategies, so that hopefully in a couple months, if you want, you could just not even be paying. You could be on your own. Um, but also so that it's not an alert service where you feel you know, you wake up one day and if you're not in the room, you're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in the market. Like, no, 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 you don't want that. You don't want someone, you know, always having to come in and pay just in general. So you got to look at it as an education service. That's how it does the best. If people look at our systems or our services like an alert service to make you rich, it just never works. Those people don't last very long in our community, if you will. It's people that if you will, it's people who really want to try to learn trading in a legitimate way, if you will. It's the best thing I could say. That being said, I'm still here. Literally everything you see on my screen is everything that I teach. I never hold anything back in YouTube videos, really, ever. Now, I might hold off in telling you exactly when I buy the bottom of Bitcoin, but that's, for protecting me. But that's the only thing I've, like, that's the one where I'm like, you know what, you guys might just get that like a day and a half late. Sorry. Um, but but yeah, we usually don't hold anything back in our YouTube videos, you know what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, this has been a good day. What is it, 11:26? Pretty sure I had a phone call with the lawyer today at some point. When is that going on? When is that going on? Is that at? Hmm. Today, yeah, that's at 12:45. All right. Well, that's because Andrew Tate is listening to my live streams. You know, but he's not wrong, arguably. No, I'm just kidding. Um, oh, this market definitely turned in the old turd burger today, huh? All right, so let's do our fun little walk around the news. Let's see what they're saying. So my guesses are going to be something about CPI being poor. Weren't there jobs numbers today? I think the jobs numbers came out today too. Pretty sure. So my assumption is the articles are going to say something about jobs being bad or maybe CPI being bad. So that's my guess. I'm hoping I'm right. So let's see if we can predict how the stock market news. Again, I haven't looked at it since the last time we did this. So let's see if we can predict what stock market news is going to be today. It's going to be about jobs. All right. We got another one for jobs. Let's see stock market news today. All right, let's bring it over. Let's go into our news. Oh, look at there you go. Wait, live in 6 hours. Wait, I don't know what this. But anyways, stock market Dow falls amid inflation woes. Holy, oh my gosh, that's crazy. How did I know what they were gonna say before they said it? That's weird. All right, what's the next one? Stock market Dow falls after shutdown ends, but you said it was gonna be bullish last week. I want my money back. I want to speak to a manager. Dow pulls back from record, falls 300 points in broad market sell-off. Live updates. CNBC says live updates. For what reason? So you can tell me the news is wrong every single day? Who would pay for that live update? Anyways, let's go into the news section. So we have the shutdown ends. Wall Street dips as markets await government reopening. Cloudy Fed outlook, Wall Street fallout from shutdown. Oh my gosh, it's the government's fault. Oh no, it's Trump. Trump. No. Let's see what full coverage looks like. What? Your search, stock market news today did not match any news results. That might be that that might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. How did you not find? How is it even possible? Okay, well, what else have we got here? Rate cut odds retreat, stock falls open. Well, we got one of them right, but it's still somehow the government shutdown thing. I thought we would have moved on from that one by now, but no, no, they're still holding on to that one, which tells me that it just tells me that's a bigger emotional talking point right now than jobs numbers, right? Which makes sense, right? Obviously, the government being shut down, that's a big talking point. So they're still attaching to that because they can. It's currently selling more than the idea of inflation and or bad jobs numbers. So it clearly there's more of an emotional attachment and tie to the government shutdown narrative right now than that could be sold on inflation and jobs numbers. So, um, that's all that's happening right now. All right. So I think that's a perfect time to end today's stream. So we'll wrap it up with a couple closing remarks, which is the stock market is not bullish. We are not swing long. We are currently a neutral to bearish environment. Neutral meaning you don't have to bet bearish if you don't want to. Bearish meaning we're definitely not swing long right now. And yeah, so we are going to again just remain on the macro bearish side. My name's Connor. My business partner's name is Brandon. So I'm Connor. Um, so yeah, we're gonna remain on the neutral to bearish side for as long as that takes, and then we'll go back long bias the market when the market tells us to. That's it. So, yeah, we'll catch you back tomorrow. We'll see if the volatility changes. We'll see if the volatility of volatility changes. We'll see if the market changes, and if not, then the market's going to stay down, and most of your news is going to stay bearish for the day. And if the market continues selling off, it's just going to stay bearish. So expect bearish news articles, bearish news cycle, and bearish until stated otherwise. All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.